Welcome into Locked On Bama. I almost forgot. I almost said Bet Online. Bet Online is sponsoring us, but welcome into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson here, and we got to do again today. We're going to be talking a lot about recruiting. That's the thing. It's a huge weekend for Alabama. On3 has come out with their consensus 5 stars, and 3 in a row look to be Alabama leans, or at least have Alabama heavily in the mix. We'll talk about those. We'll also talk about Bama Online. They had a nice article about who could be next to commit to Alabama. So we'll talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Bama.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey again, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, it's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
Jimmy, how are you? I'm good. 8 weeks to go, and I'm doing great. Can't hear me? You can't hear me now?
I can now.
Can you hear me now?
It's like, yeah. I feel like we're dubbing this.
It could be I'm in a hotel, and sometimes Wi-Fi in a hotel is not smooth.
Yeah, sometimes Wi-Fi at my house isn't smooth. One of the comments on a podcast we did on Monday said, Luke, are you doing that from a freezer? So, anyway, Jimmy, I want to talk about a couple of different articles that came out, one from Bama Online, one from your good people over at On3. We'll start with the On3 article because, that's who you work for. And they have come out with their On3 consensus 5-star countdown. And number 25 is our main man, Mr. Richard Young, just an absolute physical freak. He's a little bit older for the class, which is something I learned in this article. He turned 18 in the spring of his junior year. So, he's a little bit older. But that's a good thing, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of people that don't know this, it's actually really common. It's where it's really uncommon is when they're young for their class. And frankly, it's not really the subject we're on, but I know a lot of parents that ask professional coaches and college football coaches. They say, hey, I got a kid and we're a middle school. What's some advice if I want my kid to one day be a college scholarship athlete, whether it's football or something else? What advice do you have for me? And they'll all tell you, hold them back, make them repeat the 5th grade, hold them back. If they're 1 year older than their classmates, they're going to have a significant advantage all the way through high school. And so it's common, and you see that a lot. My thing with Richard Young is I'm not disputing the rankings. We have as good a ranking system at On3 as the sport has ever seen, and I think it'll prove to be the most accurate. And I think this is what was released today. What you're going over is the On3 consensus, which means it's an equally weighted system that equally weights the On3 ranking alongside the 24/7 and the Rivals and the ESPN ranking. So. What I say about Richard Young being at 25 is goodness. Those other 24 guys must be hellacious.
Yeah, that's true. He's certainly a piece of work. For some reason, I left you on the big screen while you covered your mouth and coughed. I do give you props for muting that.
How about that?
We've come a long way in these several years that we've been doing this.
I dropped my phone yesterday in the middle of our show. Just fortunate that I was doing it in the car and didn't have a garbage can beneath me.
Number 24 is Peter Woods. This is a guy, of course, we all know and love from Thompson High School. Absolute beast. Look, we talked about the other day about how Tamarian Parker is being crystal balled to Florida, and it looks like he may go somewhere other than Alabama. And a lot of folks commented, and we appreciate those comments in the YouTube, that, look, Tamarian Parker is not necessarily a must-have. I think Peter Woods is a must-have.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Tamarian Parker is just almost a victim of how deep the edge group is. I mean, it's just really, really deep. And while he's a good player, I wouldn't say that he's substantially better than the handful of other kids on the board in our edge group. But Peter Woods, he is spectacular. And again, if there's 23 guys better than him, goodness gracious, because Peter Woods is really, really good. His own coach compares him to Aaron Donald, which is funny because that kind of makes him sound like he's undersized. Peter Woods is slightly smaller than I guess what you would ideally want in a defensive tackle type prospect, but I would not call size for him some sort of liability or a detriment in any way. I just think that if the Aaron Donald comp is good, it's because this dude can be as dominant as Aaron Donald is, who yesterday became the highest paid player in the history of the NFL that doesn't play quarterback. So, yeah, that's how good Peter Woods can be. He's my number one. No one ranks him number one in the state. On3 doesn't. The consensus doesn't. I think the consensus has James Smith right now as the number one player in Alabama, which is fine. It's fair. But just Jimmy personally, myself, if I could have any one player from this group in Alabama, I'm taking Peter Woods.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you. Not only just because I think he's great, but also because of the Thompson pipeline. I think it's so important to keep that rocking. Jimmy, let me take a minute and tell everybody about Bet Online. Bet is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, news, odds, whatever you need at betonline.net. This year's basketball championship matchup, the NHL Hockey Conference Finals, the Major League Baseball, of course, fighting news, MMA, UFC, whatever you want, college football and NFL futures, all that stuff. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and even more than that. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, that's where the game starts. Then I want to tell you about Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure the often pointless or seemingly intimidating questions like, is your Honda Odyssey an LX or an EX? You don't know. Nobody knows. Is it a triple X? You don't know. And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts from their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. So why don't you save time and save money when using Rock Auto? Why choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store when you can get them that much cheaper at Rock Auto? Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in the How'd You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto. All right, Jimmy, last one of the On3 countdown for today is Quay Russell. We've talked about him a gazillion times. I love him. I think he's fantastic. Teammate of James Smith, who I'm sure will be on this list in just a little bit. He just looks like a beast. Highly productive last year. Had 27 and a half tackles for loss and 16 and a half sacks. Those are Will Anderson type numbers. He's just got great athleticism, great strength, and great effort. So I love him. And yeah, they've got him as a consensus 5-star.
Yeah, and I like how that Will Anderson comparison. I don't think is far off at all. I mean, I don't know that he can beat Will. That's probably not very fair to him or Will, but he's really good. And early on 3 had him as the number one player in Alabama. I didn't complain or say that was wrong. I certainly don't believe that it is. The reason that Quay Russell is so good, Luke, is even though he's an edge guy, I mean, you put him in that edge category, and he probably is going to play the same position that Will Anderson plays, in college. But Quay is so athletic and he's so good at playing football that I think he could play inside. And I think Will could play inside. I think Will Anderson would be a really good Mike, a really good Will. I think he'd be great inside myself, but we've all seen him play outside. So why would you ever move him? I mean, he's obviously in his best position. Well, Quay's best position is probably edge, just like Will, but man, you might want to take a look at him inside. And that's how he's good. That's how Will Anderson's a good football player. He's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just he can excel at this one spot, but don't put him in another spot. Then he just won't be athletic enough to pull that off. That's not true about Will, and it's not true about Quay Russell either. So real excited about him. That's going to be he's an in-state kid, but him and James Smith are basically a package deal, and they're not shy about looking at out-of-state schools and looking at good deals and this NIL environment. I think Alabama's got a great shot at Quay and James, but it's not a lock.
Yeah, that's what worries me is that it's not a lock because I think these two guys are absolute beasts. And having missed out on a few defensive linemen over the last couple of years, boy, I feel like these guys are we just got to get them. And that's why, a lot of people disagree, but I think Tamarian Parker's in that same batch. I just want to dominate this year. This year is so good. Jimmy, let me tell everybody about Built Bar. Don't you love a chewy chocolatey brownie? What about a caramel brownie with caramel swirled on top? It's so good. What if I told you can have all that chewy chocolatey deliciousness plus 17 grams of protein? You're in luck because caramel brownie bars are available at built.com right now, and you got to act fast because they're a fan favorite. They won't last long. Forget about dessert. These are better than dessert. Plus, the macros are unreal. 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, only 4 grams of sugar. I would replace a regular brownie with a Built Bar caramel brownie in a heartbeat. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCK15, 15% off that order. Use promo code LOCK15 at built.com for 15% off that order. And let's see, I think I got something else to tell you about really quickly because, people love to hear me talk.
Oh, I do.
Want everybody to go take the listener survey. We have an important favor to ask you. We've put together a survey. We can learn more about the listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like and what you don't like about Locked On Podcast. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey, lockedonpodcast.com/survey. If you take the survey, a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. Thanks for your help. All right, Jimmy, let's switch gears and talk a little bit about this list that Bama Online put out. It says who could be the next to commit to Alabama. This is from my buddy Hank South, super duper dude.
So this is the 23 class, correct? Not 24. This is the 23 group.
Actually, this is 24.
Okay.
I said 2023. I said 2023, and I screwed that up. It's 24.
Who could be first to commit out of the 24 group? I am interested in this. I saw the headline. Good buddies with Hank South. Great. Yeah, hey, just because we're at On3, we appreciate the work of our, the competition. And frankly, let's be honest, I know business-wise it's competition, but Hank's a good friend. Tim Watts is a really good friend of mine. Andrew Bone over at Bama Insider. These are friends, and they do great work.
Okay, so and these are very encouraging names. First of all,
let's hear
a couple of them from Clay Chalkville. Jalen Mbakwe, who's a 5-star defensive back, and then Mario Craver from Clay Chalkville, who's a wide receiver. I saw both these guys last year. They're both fantastic, and looking forward to hopefully they committing to Alabama pretty soon.
Yeah, I would love it. Big time kids, especially Mbakwe. I think Mbakwe is going to be, this year is such an unbelievable crop. The 23 group where there's like 6 legitimate 5-stars in a tiny state like Alabama. That's just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. Next year is more typical. And by typical, heck, some years Alabama has 0 5-stars, but next year there will be at least one. Jalen Mbakwe to me is just a slam dunk 5-star. The thing that's interesting to me, Jalen was recently on Alabama's campus. I can't remember if it was this week or last week, but in the last few days, Jalen Mbakwe, he's been in Tuscaloosa. And, everybody considers him an athlete, and a lot of people are like, you've got to put the ball in his hands. But he seemed, from his comments, Luke, intent on playing defense, which I think is great, which I think is a great decision by him. And, heck, if you can play receiver, you can play corner. Yeah, why don't you sign with Alabama and play cornerback for Nick Saban? I think that's a really good business plan. So I'm excited that Mbakwe seems to prefer defense, much like Kool-Aid McKinstry a couple of cycles ago. So, and that's a good comparison, by the way. I think Mbakwe might even be a little faster than Kool-Aid, a little smaller, a little faster. But I like the comp to Kool-Aid. I might stick with that.
Yeah, and then, of course, talk about Mario Craver.
Yeah, fast receiver, probably just a step slower than his teammate. Playmaker, definitely a wide out. Small, but, hey, you can't teach somebody to run a 4.4 or sub 4.4. He's that type of guy. He could be a real big-time playmaker at the next level. They're both going to put up good numbers. I think Kamari McClellan, who's a talented young 24 quarterback. He's either 24 or 25. Kamari McClellan, who last year played at Oxford, is transferring to Clay Chalkville. So he's a high-quality quarterback that's going to be getting Craver the ball. So they'll be a difficult team to beat.
God, you got that right. What a team that's going to be. My God. Then I don't know if we've got time to run down everybody's list, but Jamarian Burnett's a guy we've talked about in the past from Andalusia.
Don't get me started. Love him. Love him. Could be a 5-star. I love Burnett. You know, the thing, first of all, he's got the cool nickname Fat, P-H-A-T, Fat Burnett. If you watch Burnett, here's the difference between small school and big school. Burnett's down at Andalusia, which has been great to Alabama. You know, Nico Johnson, Robert Ory, they're from Andalusia, and this is where Burnett's from. It's a small school. It's what I call country ball. I'm probably rude. I'm probably being politically incorrect when I say that, but I don't know how, but I probably am. But it's small school country ball. So watch his tape, and you're going to be like, wow, what a back. And then I would tell you, dude, if he was doing that at Thompson and 7A ball and his highlights look just the same, he would be a 5-star. He'd be a 5-star plus. So the thing is, maybe he is that. I don't know. I mean, that's what makes evaluating so difficult and what makes recruiting so fun. I would love to see Burnett play against Thompson, play against Spain Park, play against Hoover, play against Prattville and Daphne and Theodore and McGill and big 7A programs in Mobile. I want to see him do that because I've seen him, what he does at that 3A level, and he is a man playing with boys in that league. There is some Derrick Henry-looking stuff on his high school highlight tape. This dude rushed for over 2,000 yards in the 10th grade. I mean, this dude is a freaking badass, and I almost said the other F word. That's how excited I am about this guy.
Jimmy, let's call it a day with that one. We'll talk more about these guys on the next podcast because this is a lot of fun. Look, that's the life of recruiting, right? I mean, you're excited. We know not even 4 commits deep in the 2023 class. We're already getting fired up about 2024. But yeah, so that's why people tune in because they are crazy just like we are. We appreciate you guys for listening. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate that so much. And appreciate your interactions on there as well. So until next time, everybody, roll tide.
Roll tide.